Our top story this morning, the Taliban have established a new government in Afghanistan, a caretaker government dominated by the group's old guard. Let's start with the Prime Minister. A lot of names have been floated in the past few days, but the Taliban have named Mullah Hasan Akhund as the new Prime Minister. Very little information is available about him in the public domain. Hasan Akhund is said to be very close to AMIR Sheikh Habibatullah Akhundzada. Hasan is one of the founding members of the Taliban and the head of the Rahbari Shura, or the Leadership Council, for over 20 years. He also worked as foreign minister under Taliban rule in the 90s. Akhund has also been sanctioned by the United Nations. He will now have two deputies, including Mullah Baradar. Baradar co-founded the Taliban in Afghanistan. He was the popular choice for Prime Minister. He had fled to Pakistan after the Taliban regime was overthrown in 2001. He had led the group's political office in Qatar since January 2019, months after he was released from a jail in Pakistan. Baradar headed to Taliban's political office in Doha. He has been the Taliban's most visible face in recent years, representing the Taliban in negotiations with the United States during the peace talks. And the second Deputy Prime Minister is Malawi Abdul Salam Hanafi, and the next is another member related to the old guard, Muhammad Yaqub. There are no photos available of him yet. He's the 33-year-old son of Mullah Omar. He has been named the defense minister. Until now, he served as the commander of Taliban's military operations. There were reports that many within the Taliban's ranks wanted him to be the prime minister, but the top leaders felt he was young and lacking in experience. He commands the loyalty of a section of the movement in Kandahar because of the prestige of his father's name. Now, the Taliban have also appointed a Minister of Justice, ABDUL Hakim Ishaqzai, and a founding member of the Taliban and a close associate of its slain leader, Mullah Muhammad Omar. He has also served as the chairman of Taliban's negotiation team in Qatar. Another controversial name here has been the Interior Minister. It is SIRAJUDDIN HAQQANI, a United Nations designated terrorist and the mastermind of several terror attacks globally. He currently heads the HAQQANI network, the most powerful and feared terror outfit in Afghanistan. AMIR MUTTAQI has been appointed the foreign minister. He was part of Taliban's negotiation team in Qatar and served as the information minister during their previous rule. Now, serving as the deputy foreign minister to Muttaqi will be Sher Muhammad Abbas in STANIKZAI, and he was serving as the head of Taliban's political office in Doha. He was once a cadet at the prestigious Indian Military Academy in Dehradun. This was during the 70s when India was involved in training Afghan army officials. But after the Soviet-Afghan war ended, he left the Afghan army. He took a radical turn and then joined the Taliban in the 1996 to be precise, and will now serve as the deputy foreign minister. And KHAIRULLAH has been named the information minister of the Taliban after the 9/11. He was held at the Guantanamo Bay detainment camp in Cuba and was released in 2014 in return for a U.S. Marine. Serving as a deputy to Zabihullah Mujahid, he has long served as the spokesperson of the Taliban. For years, Zabihullah has operated in shadows, only a voice on the end of the phone for many journalists. No photos of him existed until he gave his first press conference last month. Another name on the list here is Mullah Hasan Akhund, who will serve as the Taliban's finance minister. He's another obscure character here, and there is no absolute information available on his credentials. It's still not clear what role in the government would be played by him. Nothing has been seen or heard in public about the leader ever since the fall of Kabul. And earlier we spoke to Colonel David Dirol, who is a professor at the National Defense University. Listen into some of his insights on this.
So, part of being a superpower means that you have multiple interests in multiple spheres, and sometimes those conflict with each other. So this sort of thing is not unheard of. The United States has engaged with many countries that it does not formally recognize. Taiwan has a de facto embassy here in Washington, even though we don't recognize them. So, it's the exigency. There are a lot of things going on that it's in our interest to deal with that do not require us to recognize the Taliban government. So the first is evacuation of American citizens. The second will be humanitarian and famine relief. And then I think there will be engagement, even if it's just to say we're unhappy with this, about the status of civil rights within Afghanistan and, the very nature of the Taliban rule. So at first glance, it seems a little odd, but it's not at all unusual, and it's well within the pattern of how most countries operate. President Biden's striking exactly the right tone here, which is, you show us you can behave like a government, and then we'll talk about recognizing it. There's a difference between an armed faction that seizes control of a capital and a nation and a recognized government. We managed to go for over 30 years before we recognized the Chinese Communist Party's government in China. Afghanistan is, in the grand scheme of things, a pretty insignificant, unimportant country on the other end of the world. I don't think there needs to be a rush. I think what we need to do is enunciate what we expect from this government and then follow what they do, and then we can talk about recognition very, very far down the road.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.